Good morning, my name is Beatriz Canals. Ways of knowing are a check on our instinctive judgments. To what extent do you agree with this statement? I believe that ways of knowing are a check on our instinctive judgments, but first I believe that it's essential to identify what an instinctive judgment really is. An instinctive judgment is that first immediate and innate thought that affects and shapes the way in which we react to a certain stimulus. What we identify as our ways of knowing can serve to reaffirm and support our instinctive judgments, but it can also serve to challenge them and make us question the decisions we make. Everything is connected. It's not just one way of knowing that affects our decisions, but the combination of them all that come together to result in the actions and the decisions we make. We examine them in isolation, but they don't actually work in isolation. Emotion is a way of knowing that is very strongly tied to our instinctive judgment. Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines emotion as the conscious mental reaction subjectively experienced as a strong feeling, usually directed towards a specific object and typically accompanied by psychological and behavioral changes in the body. Emotions also often change depending on our current mood, and since they affect our instincts, it means that our instincts shift depending on the occasion and our emotional state. Oftentimes, our emotions are so powerful that they mar our instincts and force us towards acting in ways that are perceived as normal by society. In the case of Stockholm Syndrome, which is when the victim gradually builds a trusting and affectionate relationship with their kidnapper, their strong emotions will conflict with their willingness and ability to work towards finding safety. Another person that doesn't feel that way might try their hardest to leave and escape their abuser, but once emotions like trust and a sense of security are involved, they can affect the course of the person's acts or decisions, their instincts. This is a case where emotions can serve to reshape and affirm our instinctive judgments, and where emotions interfere with our ability of making rational decisions. Since a person emotionally depends on their kidnapper, their instinct wouldn't be to run away and try to act against them like most people would do. Instead, they would try to remain there and interact more with their kidnapper. Their ability to make rational decisions and evaluate the severity of a situation is entirely influenced by their emotions. Memory is another way of knowing that also works in conjunction to our instinctive judgments. The Encyclopedia Britannica defines memory as the encoding, storage, and retrieval in the human mind of past experiences. Memory is essential because it shapes our biases. Biases are lenses through which we see the world, and they are prevalent through many aspects of our life. They are prevalent through our decision-making, they're prevalent through our use of language, and they're prevalent through our instinctive judgments. Our memory is composed of a myriad of experiences, each one that has impacted our judgment in a different way. Last year, I underwent a traumatic experience because I fell off a rock in Jayuya during a class field trip. That day, I had been debating whether or not I should actually jump off the rock, and once I mustered up the courage to finally do it, I slipped, and I fell headfirst into the water. It was very scary, not only for me, but for everyone else who was there. Last weekend, we went to Las Pailas in Luquillo, another place full of rocks to jump off of, and I was not very excited to be there because I was scared of falling again. Throughout the entire day, I sat far away from the rocks and watched everyone jump into the water. My instinctive judgment told me that I should not jump off another rock because my memory knows that the last time that I was under those same circumstances, I went through a negative experience, which still remains in my mind and forces me to act a certain way, especially when the environment is similar to that of the day of the incident. Other people might be excited for this adventure because they have been in that same environment many times and nothing traumatizing has occurred to them. That isn't my situation. Reason is another way of knowing that can serve to challenge but also to affirm our instinctive judgments. Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines reason as the power of comprehending, inferring, or thinking, especially in orderly, rational ways. Reason doesn't always support our instincts, since instinct is that first reaction that disregards all logic, and reason is making thought-out decisions, taking into account evidence and past experiences. Reason can be used to assess the reliability of our instinctive judgments. I have an older cousin who lived in New York City during the time of 9/11. She actually worked in the Twin Towers, but luckily during the moment of the incident, she was in her apartment. In her office building, they asked everyone to stay put and to not evacuate. Her ex-boyfriend decided to follow her gut instinct and decided to disregard all orders he was given and evacuate the building. He ended up surviving. One of her closest friends followed the orders that he was given, and unfortunately, he did not survive. In the very moment of the disaster, neither of them were able to use their reason to carefully evaluate their plans. Instead, they both followed their instinct and reacted in entirely different ways. After the occurrence, reason can be used to reflect and reevaluate the situation and see what would have been the wisest decision to make. Reason supports the instinctive judgments of he that evacuated, but reason challenges the decisions and instincts of he who decided to follow all orders. This is an occurrence in which reason can serve to both challenge and reaffirm our instinctive judgments. Ways of knowing such as emotion, memory, and reason can serve to check on our instinctive judgments. They not only check the reliability of them in terms of how useful it is to follow your gut instinct, but they also serve as a way of affirming our actions and supporting the decisions we make. Thank you.